Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to this special Shabbat evening service for Pride Shabbat. We will begin with a song about love and how it's up to each of us, along with in partnership with God, to build a world of love. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai. I will build this world from love. Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai. And you must build this world from love. Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai. And if we build this world from love, yadarai, 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 then God will build this world from love. Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. 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 Yadarai, yadarai, yadarai.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome to our Erev Shabbat service on this Friday night, June 19th or Juneteenth. Also on this Shabbat, we're celebrating Pride Month, Pride Shabbat. There's a lot going on tonight, and we are thrilled to be together with all of you. I'm Rabbi Joe Black, Senior Rabbi here at Temple Emmanuel. With me, as always, well, not always, but often, is our Senior Cantor Elizabeth Sacks, Rabbi Emily Hyatt, Rabbi Eliot Baskin, our musical director and soloist Steve Brodsky, and our special guest tonight, Dr. Gregg Drinkwater, who will be hearing from us in a bit, and as always, Sean Wall, who is making us sound and look as good as we possibly can, given our technology. So we want to ask that you participate in the service. Feel, even though we're distant physically, we are a community united by love of our congregation, our faith, our love of God, love of Shabbat, and love of the opportunity to find values and faith that brings us together, which is really what this is all about. So we're going to continue as we kindle the Shabbat lights, and we invite Alexander Flores, our bar mitzvah, to kindle the Shabbat candles.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. Together we read, on Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And as we move now into the Lecha Dodi, we are going to sing these ancient words of poetry, of song that welcome us into Shabbat. And in the first verse, we say, Shamor v'zachor, that we are to guard or observe, and that we are to remember. Shamor means guard, and zachor means remember. And so here we have this moment where we're told twice that Shabbat is important, and perhaps to observe now and to remember what Shabbat has been for us means that it is relevant for us, not just now, far into the past, far into the future. This moment and the teachings that this break, that this pause in our week gives us is eternally and infinitely relevant. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech kumi ori, uri uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. If you're so inclined, you may rise and face the entry to whatever your worship space is this evening to welcome the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'tzola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekamela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekamela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela.
We now rise physically or spiritually or remain standing as we prepare for Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world. Together, in each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel.
Please join me in chanting Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam veshivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. Together, the song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God.
We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking. We are walking. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking. We are walking. We are walking in the light of God. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, זוהרתי לו, אוסף אליהם, We are walking in the light of God. 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 Oh, we are walking. We are walking. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking. We are walking. We are walking in the light of God.
The words of the Mi Chamocha talk about our journey from slavery to freedom. We say we are walking in the light of God. And then we move to the words Hashkivenu, where we ask God for shelter and for peace and to watch over us. And all three of these phrases talk about liminal spaces, those spaces where we are in between something, in between slavery and freedom, in between ignorance and enlightenment, in between sleeping and waking. And so we ask as we grow and as we change and as we learn how to be the people that we want to be in this world, that we have peace and shelter and safety for all who need it as we get to that destination of the promised land, as we sing the Hashkivenu together. Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkiveinu l'shalom. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkiveinu l'shalom. V'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkiveinu l'shalom. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkiveinu l'shalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Prayer is at the heart not only of great religion, but of significant living. Without prayer, we cannot scale the heights of compassion or reach the peaks of love of our neighbor, of which we are called and capable. Prayer is a step on which we rise from the self we are to the self we wish to be. Prayer affirms the hope no reality can crush, the goal that can never acknowledge defeat. Prayer is not an escape from duty. It is no substitute for the deed. Prayer seeks the power to do wisely, to act generously, to live helpfully. It helps to reinforce the act rather than to replace it. Prayer is the search for silence in the midst of life. Our prayers are answered not when we are given what we ask, but when we are challenged to be what we can be.
Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open up my lips and let my mouth declare your praises. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avod Ve'imahod, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishanei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimir Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat Lehachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yalelu Chasela, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We take a few moments now as we are cognizant of members of our congregation, our community, those who are in need of healing. This is a special Shabbat. Not only is it Shabbat when we are acknowledging and celebrating Pride, but it's also Juneteenth. And we think about the healing that is needed in so many communities in our nation, in the African American community, in the LGBTQ community, in our nation, the political divides, the racial divides, the divides of mistrust and concern, and in our congregation, the men, the women, those who are ill, those who are in need of healing. And as we say every week, our list is getting long. But even if there's not a name that's on this list, we ask that you say it. Say it out loud, write it down in the comments so all of us might ask for God's healing presence on their behalf. It's not just the reading of the names that matters, but the fact that we care about them, that we remember them, that we pray for them and with them, that gives this moment such power. So let's pray together. B'Shebeira Avotenu Kol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. On this Shabbat, we are mindful of Zachary Hoffman, David Karner, David Lustig, Marcia Richter, Martin Indick, Kara Gleskoder, Paul Komensky, Dr. Carrie McCallie, James Clark, Natalie Mosier, Corey Franklin, Andy Friedman, Margaret Glubach, Dr. Howard Miller, Bob Connolly, Chaya Kayla Rubin, Lori Markman, Jody Goldman, Derek Sandra Heller, Jenny Brynan, Lynn Pollitt, Sarah Ellen McIntyre, Neil Levin, Erwin Chaim, Arthur Gilbert, Patty Lampert, Jeff Cohn, David Bershoff, Jim Shalat, Lynn McLaughlin Cromar, Gwen Schatz, Elizabeth Lipper, Cynthia Friedland, Pat Winter, Dana Huss, Marilyn Tepper, Shirley Leff, Gail Weinstein, Richard Schumann, and Susan Kendis, and others whose names are written below, those names that are imprinted in our hearts as we join together. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And now we take a moment of Tfilah Shabalev, the tefillot, the prayers of our heart, as we look in, there to find God, and pray in silence.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is wonderful to be here tonight on this beautiful, cool Shabbat evening here in Denver, where we are focusing tonight in particular on the fact that this Shabbat is the middle of Pride Month, and our congregation tries very, very hard to be celebratory of, welcoming to, and inclusive of the members of our congregation who are gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, and all of the other adjectives that we can come up with. But most importantly, that we want to be a welcoming place, and we know that we still have work that we need to do. We invited Dr. Gregg Drinkwater to come and speak to us tonight. First of all, Dr. Drinkwater, it is wonderful to see you and to be able to call you Dr. Drinkwater, which is kind of hard to say, actually. Dr. Gregg is easier, but Dr. Drinkwater is what I'm going to call you. Your research focuses on sexuality, gender, and Judaism in the modern United States. You recently completed your dissertation at the University of Colorado, Mazal Tov, on the history of gay and lesbian synagogues. Dr. Drinkwater will be a lecturer in CU Boulder's History Department this fall and a visiting professor of Jewish Studies at Rutgers University in the spring. Prior to his doctoral work, Dr. Drinkwater worked for 10 years as an advocate for LGBTQ inclusion and social justice in the Jewish community through Jewish Mosaic and Keshet. He is co-editor of the book Torah Queries, Weekly Commentaries on the Hebrew Bible. He is a dear friend of our community, our congregation. And Greg, we're thrilled to have you with us to speak to us on this Pride Shabbat. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. Welcome to everyone on Facebook who's watching. And I really relish the opportunity to be sharing this Shabbat with the Emmanuel community, a community that has been a part of my life for almost 20 years now. So tonight, we celebrate lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Pride Month. Doing so this year in particular stands out from other years. We gather in the midst of a national conversation about race, justice, systemic oppression, and police violence. And we gather just 5 days after the Supreme Court ruled that federal civil rights laws protect LGBTQ workers, an outcome the LGBTQ rights movement has been working toward for over 60 years. Given the special context in which we find ourselves, I'd like to use my comments this evening to situate us in Jewish time, but also LGBTQ time and in a social justice timeline. First, Jewish time. This week's Torah portion recounts the story of a moment when the Israelites, fleeing Egypt and on the cusp of redemption, sent forth 12 scouts to survey the promised land, the land of Canaan. Upon their return, 10 of the 12 spies reported back that the land did indeed flow with milk and honey, but they offered warnings that the land would be unsafe for the Israelites because the resident population, the Anakites, were like giants. These nervous spies claimed that to the Anakites, quote, "we must have looked like grasshoppers in their eyes." The Israelites, upon hearing this, despaired of achieving liberation and of fulfilling God's promise. The forces they knew they must confront in order to achieve liberation felt insurmountable. But the other two spies, Joshua and Caleb, offered a different perspective. They recognized that the Anakites were formidable and that the struggle to settle the land would be difficult. But unlike the other 10 spies, who focused on how small they must have looked to those in power and thus cowered in fear, Joshua and Caleb had faith in their capacity to succeed. They recognized that seeing themselves through the eyes of others would not help them forge a path forward. Instead, they felt confident in their own sense of self, secure in their cause. Caleb, in particular, was noted to have a different spirit, in Hebrew, a ruach acheret, that gave him the confidence to face adversity, a confidence the other spies seemingly lacked. Caleb, with his ruach acheret, teaches us that in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we can't give up. So now, let us turn to LGBTQ time. Pride Month celebrates the LGBT community and our diversity, but it most directly commemorates the Stonewall Uprising in New York City in June 1969. For years, police in New York, as in most American cities, had regularly raided gay bars like the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, harassing gay people and often subjecting them to violence and public ridicule. They did so at the Stonewall again on June 28, 1969. But tired of police harassment and anti-gay and anti-transgender police violence, that night, those gathered at the Stonewall Inn fought back. The police and the societal forces arrayed against them must have looked to them like the Anakites, like giants. But a mix of gay, lesbian, and gender nonconforming New Yorkers, many of them people of color, fought back, confident in the face of adversity. Like Caleb, they manifested their ruach acheret, their different spirit, and they stood up against seemingly insurmountable odds, certain that justice was on their side. Those who rose up at Stonewall were not the first activists for gay civil rights or the first to demand justice for gay people in this country. The modern American gay rights movement began in 1950 and had already achieved some small victories before that night in 1969 accelerated the pace of change. Indeed, Stonewall was not the only catalyst for the shift from the quieter forms of gay rights activism that marked the 1950s and most of the 60s to the more confrontational activism of the gay liberation movement of the 70s. Several other incidents in the mid and late 60s of police harassment and police violence against gay, lesbian, and gender nonconforming people had sparked earlier protests and small-scale uprisings. For example, on New Year's Eve, 1966-67, undercover police beat and arrested patrons at the Black Cat Tavern, a gay bar in Los Angeles. Several patrons were seriously injured. 17 were arrested, and 6 were ultimately charged with lewd conduct. Months before, a 27-year-old gay Jewish man, Steve Ginsburg, had founded the radical gay rights organization called Personal Rights in Defense and Education, or PRIDE, the first use of that word as a gay rights rallying cry. Ginsburg was inspired by the political tactics of other minority rights groups, particularly the emerging Black Power movement, and in solidarity with other marginalized communities victimized by police violence. He called on PRIDE and other social justice groups to respond to the Black Cat raid with visible demonstrations in front of the bar, among the earliest angry protests over gay rights in US history. Protesters there carried signs saying, "Blue fascism must go," and "Police lawlessness must be stopped." Sound familiar? The straight Jewish civil rights attorney, Herb Selwyn, affiliated with the ACLU, represented 2 of the men convicted of lewd conduct, appealing their convictions under the Equal Protection Clause all the way to the US Supreme Court. The raid of the Black Cat and the resulting protests, organized by Ginsburg and other local activists, was one of several pivotal moments, along with the Stonewall Uprising, that ultimately resulted in the birth of the gay liberation movement. What stood out about the gay liberation movement and of Steve Ginsburg activism and of PRIDE was the recognition that justice for LGBTQ people depended upon justice for other minorities. The gay liberation movement promoted what we would today call an intersectional lens, framing their struggle in solidarity with the struggles for racial justice, economic justice, the liberation of women, and the struggles against oppression of every kind. Or, to put it in the words of the Jewish poet Emma Lazarus, a woman some scholars believe might have been a lesbian or bisexual, quote, "Until we are all free, we are none of us free." So, situating our gathering tonight in the timeline of social justice, we're called today to celebrate this week's Supreme Court ruling upholding workplace protections for LGBTQ brothers and sisters. Following on the example of the gay liberation movement, we're called in the wake of the national protests seeking racial justice, and on this Juneteenth in particular, to stand in solidarity with Black Americans and to insist that Black lives matter, and to commit to dismantling white supremacy and to doing the hard work of unlearning racism. We are called to nurture our Ruach HaKeret and to become allies to all who seek justice. But allyship is not passive. To be an ally requires actively working to advance the rights of the oppressed, checking our privilege, embracing diversity, listening, learning, voting. As it was for the ancient Israelites, our path forward will be long and difficult and strewn with challenges, large and small. But it will also have moments of victory, like this week's ruling on LGBTQ workplace protections. We must celebrate the victories and mourn the losses. But like Caleb, we must have faith that in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we can't give up. Or, as the gay Jewish politician Harvey Milk, assassinated in November 1975, once said, "I know you cannot live on hope alone, but without it, life isn't worth living." Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Doctor. I have a couple questions. Just want to have a little dialogue if we can. We have a little bit of time. We talk about the Stonewall, we call it an uprising, riots, whatever you want to call them, as a turning point in history, that there was a before Stonewall and an after Stonewall. And as we talked earlier today, one of the questions that I think, and the intersectionality and the fact that this is Juneteenth is important. You know, we forget about the fact that Stonewall, many of the protesters, those who really fought, were Black transgender women who really went out and put their lives literally on the line. And we know that there was a before Stonewall and an after. Do you think that we are currently living in a situation that the protests that we are seeing in the streets, the Black Lives Matter movement, is the same type of a turning point? Or because we've seen other protests before and things have not changed?
It seems like it may well be. I mean, so many small-scale changes are already happening. You know, just here in Denver, the Denver Public Schools ending its contract with the Denver Police. Other cities rethinking their police practices, even nationally, congressional action on a scale that we haven't seen before. But also, more importantly, I think this question of solidarity across intersectional lines, across different lines of oppression, has obviously been something that people have been talking about for decades now. Steve Ginsburg recognized it in the 60s, and the trans women of color that you talked about in the Stonewall riot talked about that in 1969 and the early 1970s. But it was always felt like a conversation that was only happening amongst a fairly small group of in-the-know activists. But now we're seeing that in every newspaper, in Facebook, in every social commentary. The concept of allyship as an active political act really seems to be rising up to public consciousness in a way that I haven't seen before.
Well, I think you're right. I agree with you. You know, this is my 32nd or 33rd year in the rabbinate. I can't remember. But I remember when I started in the rabbinate, we were just beginning to have the kind of conversations about inclusivity with our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, members. And I remember in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Lev Raphael came and spoke to us, and his book Dancing on Tisha B'Av was such a powerful, it's one of the first books about that I'm aware of. I don't know if it was one of the first, but certainly that came across my consciousness of Jewish awareness of the LGBTQ experience. And one of the things that he came and spoke to us are things that we as congregations should be doing to be welcoming and inclusive of our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. And I think we have a lot of work to do. I am very much aware of Jews of color in our community. That's a big topic that we are going to be addressing, and we can't address fully tonight, even though this is Juneteenth, but our focus is on Pride. But do you have any thoughts about things that we as a congregation, what should we be saying, doing, proclaiming, and we're trying, but that will show that we are a welcoming community? What type of things do you recommend?
Yeah, so as you know, in my work before I turned to graduate school and the academic life, I worked in Jewish LGBTQ advocacy and worked with Temple Emmanuel, both directly with you, Rabbi Black, after you started there, and with Rabbi Foster for a number of years. And Emmanuel actually, I think, has done quite a few of the things that I would recommend a congregation do, but there's always more. As I said in my comments, you know, the struggle is long, it's difficult. It's going to be a long process before we really reach full inclusion. So it's not to say that We won't get there someday. But Emmanuel's already made a lot of progress. I was looking through a checklist that I have for synagogue inclusion efforts and saw about half of the things on there are things that Emmanuel already does. For example, recognizing LGBTQ holidays such as Gay Pride, or hosting, as Emmanuel has now done for many, many years, one of the largest queer Passover Seders in the country, if not the world. Having speakers like me come and others, film screenings, etc. Doing trainings for your staff and also for lay leaders. I know that most of the staff there have been through diversity trainings, and lay leaders are folks who can do that as well. Anti-bullying policies within your school, but also for the staff at the congregation generally. Some things that might be areas where I could see Emmanuel maybe still taking steps that might not have happened yet, including readings, perhaps more than you already have, in your liturgy from LGBTQ people, and clearly marking them as such so people know why they're there, or referencing them from the Bima during services. Reminding folks in both lay leadership and on the staff to avoid making assumptions about people's identities, their backgrounds, or their experiences. We do that a lot. We like to play Jewish geography when we meet new people who are walking into our doors. And that can be challenging for Jews of color, but also for LGBTQ people who might come to us in family constellations that maybe we're less familiar with, or might be Jews by choice, or other differences that might come up in ways that we wouldn't expect. Just so you know, about 10% of the LGBT Jewish community are Jews by choice, much higher than among Jews generally. Ensuring that all people feel like there are restrooms that they can access, regardless of their gender expression or gender identity. Having policies in place for overnight programs for youth, including camps, that recognize that some kids are going to have requests around how they bunk that reflect how they might feel safe or not based on their gender expression, based on their sexual orientation, and having a place to voice that and to articulate that. There are many others, but those are just some that I saw on my checklist and thought were worth addressing, because I know that many of those are already in place at Emmanuel, and some could probably be initiated.
What would you say to a young person who is coming out either as gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender in this world today? That's something that we're very conscious of, and we want to be welcoming and affirming to our young people in particular. We want to be a safe place. So it's a two-part question. One, what do you say to us to how to be more welcoming? And two, what would you say to them at this time in history?
To you about being more welcoming is, and again, I think you're already on the right path, but just having moments throughout the year, throughout the months, throughout the weeks to address the LGBTQ diversity in your midst, and recognizing that that's a normal part of the Jewish lifespan, a normal part of the Jewish calendar, a normal part of the Jewish community. A lot of young lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender kids may not see that regularly, and they might be afraid that they're alone in their community, in their congregation. They might go online and seek community there, but not know that there are places where they can be seen fully as themselves in their community. And sometimes it's those little subtle things, not necessarily even having the Pride Shabbat event or the speaker, but just one word of acknowledgement at the end of a service that reminds people that those are folks in your community. And to LGBTQ kids who might be watching right now or who are in your congregation, I would say, recognize your identity, stand like Caleb with your Ruach HaCheret, have pride in that, and confidence in yourself, and don't worry so much about those other forces in the universe that might feel like giants that are so threatening and scary and might keep you locked inside yourself. You can do it.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Great way to conclude. This is an ongoing conversation. Thank you for being part of it. I hope we can call on you many, many more times. And again, Mazel Tov on your dissertation being accepted.
Thank you.
So we are going to continue now as I'm going to turn it over to Cantor, to Steve Brodsky.
We begin to conclude our service by joining together for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, v'ateit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, v'lo samanu kimishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and every nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we are particularly mindful of Rabbi Jonathan Brown, of Stuart Gottesfeld, Jane Kershaw, Barbara Landau, and Phyllis Marcus, who were taken from our midst this past week. We link with their name those who were taken from us in the previous 30 days: Irene Billingham, Betty Ann Bloom, Kenneth Bloom, Jeff Boehm, Robert Burley, Dr. Norman Butterman, Bernice Dinner, Terry Dufresne, Arthur Goodman, Estelle Gottesfeld, Julie Horwich, and Joanne Rolnick. We link with their names those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat: Emmanuel Ambrose, Florence Antonoff, Julia Barretts, Boris Bederak, Elizabeth Bernstein, Tilly Heitler Bloom, Dina Brooks, Solomon Brooks, Bluma Aarons Caldwell, Esther Arcone, Daniel H. Davidson, Carl Dinnerman, Jerry Emanuel, Dr. Arthur L. Esserman, Charles M. Ettinson, Rose Feldman, Roz Fisher, Hermione Fisk, Rena Friedenthal, Ben Friedman, Rebecca Friedman, Benjamin Frumis, and Harry Frumis, Perry Harris, Thelma Height, Alexander R. Hurwitz, Sam Isaacson, Amy Cohn, Aaron Arthur Kramish, Doris J. Kramish, Esther Masha Crowan, Seymour Laff, Selma Levy, Florence D. Malman, Joseph L. Mann, Sam L. Meyer, Mark B. Newman, Fan Feinstein Newberger, Hattie Pizer, Norman L. Plotka, E. Betty Reeves, Arnold Silverman, Louise Grant Stein, Joe Sussman, Matilda Tescher, Ruth Toltz, Abraham Weiss, and Ann Zellinger. We remember 10 of the 420 precious souls from the community of Colleen for whom our finer chapel is dedicated: Werner Gutmann, Arnost Halberstadt, Thomas Halberstadt, Anna Halberstadt-Tova, Marketa Halberstadt-Tova, František Hammerschlag, Ludwig Hammerschlag, A. Hammerschlagova, P. Hammerschlagova, Emil Hex. We remember the martyrs who fought for LGBTQ rights and who on this Pride Shabbat, this whole Pride month, we are acutely aware and appreciative of their sacrifice. We remember those who have died for the cause of furthering the lives of African Americans on this Juneteenth, this also anniversary of the massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Black Wall Street, and so many others who have died tragically and violently in the struggle for equal rights. If there are other names, we ask that you write them or say them out loud so that we can join with all who are in mourning. And we ask you now to join with, as you are comfortable, in the words of the mourners' Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach yir'ute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach la'alam u'lanmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmed kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And may the source of peace, who makes peace in places far beyond our knowing, send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved here among us, wherever they may be. And let us all say, Amen.
So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember, we remember.
Mom used to have this tradition on Passover where she would try to say all 13 of the statements in Who Knows One in one breath, which was really hard because there were so many of them. And that's sort of how I feel about announcements this week, because there are so many of them. And wouldn't it be fun if I took a really deep breath and did them as fast as I could? I'm not going to, but buckle up, because here are some of the things that are happening tomorrow. There are many. So here we go. As usual, 9 a.m., Young Family Shabbat will be with Cantor Sacks. And I imagine that also includes Tova and her ukulele, and probably Charlie and Eli too, which will be amazing. It's one of my favorite things to watch. Also at 9 a.m., the first of 4 B'nai Mitzvah happening tomorrow. This will be the bar mitzvah of Nico Larrabee. Just so that you guys know, if you're tuning into bar or bat mitzvahs tomorrow or in the future, they will be available on the Temple Emmanuel page, just like you're on right now. You'll be able to find it, but they're also available on our B'nai Mitzvah page. So they're going to look just a little bit different. It's going to be a shared video, not Temple Emmanuel's live video. If you have questions, we are all going to be on Facebook with staff support and tech support. So just message Temple Emmanuel. We will get you where you need to go. Those are both at 9 a.m. At 10 a.m., Torah study with Rabbi Black. You should see in your announcements, if you haven't yet, or in your e-notes, the link to sign up. If you want to be on the Zoom with him, you have to register for that. And so that is at 10 o'clock in the morning. You can do that via Zoom or Facebook Live. At 11 o'clock, we will have our community service, our regular Shabbat service. That will be with Rabbi Black and Cantor Sacks. At 11:30, you still with me? Okay. At 11:30, we will have the bar mitzvah of Anderson Flores. I apologize, Anderson, that we had your name typed as Alexander on our opening video, because we also have an Alex who is becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow, and our wires got crossed because it's a lot of people and half of your names start with A. So Anderson Flores is going to be bar mitzvah tomorrow with myself and with Steve at 11:30. And then tune back in. It doesn't end, because at 3 o'clock p.m., we are going to celebrate the B'nai Mitzvah of Alex and Harper Cohen. That will be with Rabbi Black and with Cantor Sacks. And then come back again at 7 for Havdalah to end that crazy day with Schwader and all of the virtual Session 1 families and anyone else that wants to join us with the Schwader team and with Rabbi Black. And that's just tomorrow. I didn't do it in one breath, but it was pretty good. Also, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we are going to be gathering right here next week, all of the clergy again, to say our sad goodbye to Rabbi Baskin, as we wish him well and thank him for all of his hard work and contributions to this team over the last 2 years. So we invite you to come and be with us for that and to celebrate him and give him blessings for the rest of his journey, whatever it may, the next piece of his journey, whatever it may look like. And as usual, stay tuned on the Facebook page or in your e-notes, or ask anybody if you have questions about what is coming up. I think that takes us through announcements. And now we are going to drink, because that was a lot of things to get through. Just kidding. We're going to say Kiddush. We are going to raise our glass of wine or juice, whatever you may have, as we bless the meal that we are hopefully about to partake in.
Yes, here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila le'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tzion mitzrayim kivanu v'charta be'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. And now, if we have challah, I know many of us have all different kinds of challah. We will bless together for motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And we conclude our service this evening with this piece of music that has become a little bit of an anthem for us as we move through this time in our history. I Have a Voice, written by singer-songwriter Alana Arian. I hope that each of us really truly does feel that way, that each of us has a voice that has power to change our own lives, to change our local communities, to change the world that we see around us. And so I invite you to sing with me, to sing out loud, even though you are in your homes. If we raise our voices all together, we can hear each other and celebrate this Shabbat of love and pride together.
Every day
Eloheinu ve'Elohei kol dorotenu, our God and the God of every generation, on this Shabbat of Juneteenth, we are acutely aware of the need for change in the world. We also give thanks for opportunities to raise our voices, to let them be heard, to demand change, to make the world better, which it so desperately needs. Let us be like Caleb, who sees the potential, who sees the good, who seizes opportunities to make a difference. And we ask your blessing, Eloheinu ve'Elohei kol dorotenu, our God and the God of every generation. Bruchim hayinu b'voenu, bruchim nihiyeh b'tzeitenu. Blessed were we in coming here, not only physically, but being in this space, in this holy moment together, now and forever. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.